Start with 700 grams of filtered water, 300 grams of starter, and did a little bit of maintenance on her container. She is happy and thriving. Nice. So we're gonna mix up our water and starter into a nice bubbly slurry before we add our flour. Okay, that's what we should be looking like. And now we are going to go in with 1,000 grams of bread flour. 500 grams here, and cooped up for over a week, which truthfully I don't mind, but it's probably not the best. The less I'm around people, the more I just want to stay in my little happy bubble here. Video stop, so I don't know where I left you, but I added, excuse me, 1,000 grams of bread flour to my 700 grams of water, 300 grams of active starter. That was part of my bread bag, or flour bag. And then I've got my 20 grams of salt set to the side that I will add 1 hour after we mix this up and let it kind of rest. We're getting this into a nice shaggy dough. I'm gonna scrape the sides just to make sure I have everything kind of incorporated here. All right, so that's what we're looking like. Everything should be pretty well incorporated, and like I said, we will cover this up, and in an hour I'll come back. Our first hour is up for the dough that we put together. I've got my 20 grams of salt here to add. I'm just gonna wet my hands here and incorporate the salt into this dough here. And I've been being a little bit more aggressive with this salt addition, and that's helping to build up some gluten. And when I'm doing this, a lot of times I don't end up needing that final stretch and fold. 3 is usually plenty, but we'll kind of see. I can feel the grittiness of the salt, so I just kind of try to go by feel and try to get it all mixed in well. We'll slap it around a little bit. And then I will take the temperature of my dough here, and that will determine the sample size that we need, because that will tell me, temperature of my dough tells me how much of a rise I want to get out of this before I'm ready to shape and cold proof it. 73.6, so we're gonna go with 70 degrees, and that is 37 grams. So that's how much I will take here. Okay, 37, and I'm going to stick that in my dough so that it retains the temperature, and we'll come back in 30 minutes to do some more stretch and folds. All right, 30 minutes has passed, so we are going to start some stretch and folds, because I mainly just slapped this around when we came back last time and added our salt and pulled our aliquot sample. So I'm just going to kind of rotate around the bowl. I'm doing 3 orders of garlic cheddar and 1 plain loaf. And I'm doing this in 2 double batches of dough. So I was gonna try to maybe add inclusions, but it's just too much going on today for me to do the inclusions during the stretch and folds. I'll just wait until we're doing shaping. I also have 3 separate batches of dough that I'm working with along the same timeline of doing stretch and folds and everything all together. So we're gonna plop her back in the bowl, push our sample in there, and then we're gonna go ahead and let her rest for another 30 minutes. All right, our 30 minutes has passed, so we're gonna do another round of stretch and folds here to try to build up some gluten. And I always wet my hands. That just helps the dough, or prevents the dough, I guess, from sticking to your hands and getting a mess everywhere. This is turning out nicely. Do some coil folds, just picking up the dough and kind of letting it fall. You can see we're starting to get a couple bubbles there, so perfect. I'm going to pop this back in and cover her up, and we will come back in 30 minutes to do a set of stretch and folds for this dough that we put together this morning. It is starting to look pretty good. Just want to finish this off here, and then we will let her rest for the remainder of the bulk ferment. This should be ready to shape by 1 o'clock this afternoon based on just how my dough has been behaving. So we'll be back when that's done bulk fermenting and start to do our inclusions and shaping.